Okay, so Angela Wheeler. I am a family medicine physician. Met Candy, oh my God, so many years ago. Um, and I guess one of the things that we kind of bonded around was the sports connection. So back in 2000, I was one of the team physicians for our Olympic team. And I've been kind of riding with Candy and sports related activities since then. So it really is my pleasure about some things around self-care and COVID. So I guess I should start with maybe busting a myth about what COVID is and what it's not. So COVID is not the flu. So, and it's important to make that distinction because it really kind of minimizes how deadly and how serious we need to take this COVID-19. Um, and it's true that the flu kills people every year, but we have never been in a situation where so many people have died. So many people are left with physical ailments that will probably plague them for a long, long time. So this really is to be taken very, very seriously. I guess sort of the good thing and the relationship that COVID-19 and the flu has is that the precautions are about the same. You know, you really want to, in this case, wear your mask and wash your hands and do your social distancing. One thing to really, really keep in mind is that as particularly in the north, so I'm in the Chicagoland area, but here it's getting actually it's very cold today. But with the weather cooling down, we don't have the opportunity to be outside. And so particularly around the holidays, it will be cold and people will be indoors. And certainly, you know, our scientists have told us again and again and again that the close proximity of family and friends is going to be a family event into a super spreader. So we have to be aware of that. Um, in the South, you know, there's probably some opportunity to still do some gathering, but we won't have that opportunity here in the North without serious consequences. So what I wanted to talk about today is self-care during COVID. And I just want to keep it kind of simple. I just want out, you know, 4 little areas that you can make some adjustments in how you sort of conduct your life, and that a little more will do you. That's the take home message. Just a little more will do it. So the basics are you need to eat some good food, some decent food. You need to get some good sleep. You need to get a little exercise, and you need to try and keep your stress level down. So those are the basics. Go into a little bit more detail about them. But before I do that, I want to ask a question. So the first question is, how many hours of sleep do you get per night? And you can use your chat to answer the question if you would like to do that sort of publicly. But
yeah, I'll tell them myself, not a lot. I'm a workaholic, and that's my biggest downfall.
and you know, as a society in the United States, we do not respect sleep. We do not respect rest. I've heard people say things like, you know, I'll rest when I'm dead. But right now, if I stay up, I can get more done. And actually, it's really not true. The truth is that when you are rested, when the time that you spend on your work endeavors, you're actually much more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important. And it's been shown again and again that the basic is about 7 hours for most people. So if you can get about 7. So again, I'll go back to what I said before, a little more will do you. If you're only getting 6 hours, get that one more hour in there, and it can make a big difference for you.
I love that. Thank you.
Okay. And let me just take the sleep thing a little bit further. So one of the little known things about sleep is this. Okay, so you may be aware that your body makes melatonin, but your melatonin doesn't kick in until it's pitch black. So, and here's the other thing, is that the blue light that comes off of your computer screen, off of your television and your telephone tells your brain it's still daytime. And so your melatonin, that hormone that helps you get that good sleep, doesn't kick in until that blue light is gone for. So ideally, you want to get off your devices about an hour before it's bedtime. And that way that melatonin can kick in and you can get that good sleep. So that's one of those little tips that I think may be helpful as far as sleep goes. But again, just a little more will do. Any questions about sleep? I can tell you a whole lot of things about sleep, but I think that the devices is one of those things that that plagues a lot of us. And for those of you who have children, our children are spending a lot of time on their devices, and when they should be sleeping, they're under the covers with the phone. Be very clear that that affects their academic performance. So, I'll say something that has probably made me a little unpopular with some of my patients. And that is, I've just advised the parents to take the phones at night. Your kids are home safe in the house. They don't need a phone, so you can collect that phone and then give it back to them the next morning. It's important that we teach our children to protect their sleep. And if they are not really wanting to do that right now, we still need to be the parent and help them protect their sleep. Any questions, comments, or anything about that? If not, I will move on to the next point. Okay, so let's go with another question. Question is, servings of veggies do you eat a day? Okay, not bad. The recommendation is about 6 to 8. So again, a little more will do. That will help you. And I'll just make a suggestion that your food should be your medicine. And if we look at food and for the things that we do to protect our health, and in this case, in this pandemic, people are very focused on their immune system. And so there's lots that you can do in terms of building and protecting your immune system with the foods that you're eating. That would include, your vegetables. And I would make a suggestion, eat your vegetables first, get them in. Try to have at least one per, and you can add fruits in there too. Now, if you're diabetic, of course, you have to be a little careful about the fruits, but getting your fruits and vegetables in, eat them first. A little more will be helpful. Some of the important foods to include in your diet, particularly with respect to supporting your immune system, would be things like garlic. So we've known that garlic has been helpful with improving everything from blood pressure and just supporting your immune system. So eating the garlic dry as opposed to cooked gives you the most benefit. So that's one thing that you can add. Any of your greens will be high in vitamin C. Certainly you can eat your greens both cooked and raw. Get a little broccoli in there. That's also very good for vitamin C. Try to eat your broccoli raw, but steamed at the most, because the more that you cook broccoli, the more of the nutrients you will lose. So that's another important food. Ginger is helpful to support your immune system. And for people who are having respiratory issues, there you go. For people who are having respiratory issues, the ginger is very helpful to try and keep that mucus down. Speaking of mucus, I'm going to say that one of the things that you can do also to keep mucus down is not adding something, but limiting your dairy products. So your cheese, your milk, your ice cream. Some of us are not, consuming those products anyway, because some of us are lactose intolerant. So that would be one reason. But if you have any respiratory issues, we know that those products can increase mucus. I would say, kind of keep those to a minimum as well. Spinach, another one of those green foods, has a lot of vitamin C in it. It also has magnesium. Let me mention something else about magnesium, and that goes back to sleep. It turns out that magnesium is very helpful with sleep because it helps to relax your muscles. So if you can get an Epsom salt bath, that all is magnesium. So that can be very, very helpful for relaxing muscles and for improving sleep. Your citrus fruits, of course, are important to add vitamin C. Our body does not make vitamin C, so that's why you need to include it daily if you can. A lot of people nowadays are drinking lemon water and that kind of thing, that to add vitamin C to their diet. And then I guess a surprise as far as vitamin C goes is red bell peppers has a lot of vitamin C, even more so than some of your citrus fruits. So you can add that. And then one other food that I wanted to mention is apples. And so apples has a variety of vitamins, but apples also has something called pectin in it. And pectin is good to help keep your digestive system moving properly. Okay, along those lines. So next is exercise. Let's talk about exercise. And so a question, how many times a week do you exercise? Aha. Again, a little more will do you. So if you're not getting any, start with something. And there's so many options. I think a lot of people like their hands were tied around exercise because their gyms are not open. And so just like so many other things, we've had to be a little bit more creative with some of the things that we do. But I will tell you something as simple as looking on your YouTube on your phone, you'd be absolutely shocked at how many things are on there. So if you've always wanted to, okay, somebody said yoga and stretch, and that's excellent. The yoga is good for so many reasons, because with yoga, you usually get some really good breathing in there, as well as the stretching that can relieve some tension, and to, that kind of bleeds into the whole stress control, which we'll get into shortly. Mm-hmm. But the exercise, if you've always wanted to learn ballet, there's ballet for beginners on YouTube, so you can do that. You can have bad backs and things like that. There's something called Qigong, and it's spelled Qigong. So Qigong. You have Tai Chi. These are Chinese movement patterns that can be very helpful. And I like those because, you can get some movement in your joints without the pounding of running. walking is usually in front of everybody as the be all end all, best exercise ever. And it's just really not true, because if you have bad back, bad hips, bad knees, you don't want to keep beating up the body parts that are already ailing. So that's not necessarily going to be the best option for you. If you have access to a pool, then if you have, creaky body parts from the waist down, the pool really is your friend, and you can do some walking in the pool and get a good workout without the pounding on the joints. But in absence of that, I would say, the yoga, the tai chi, the qigong, those kind of things are good. Dances, and let that be your exercise. You can do that. There's all kinds of stuff, just all kinds. And, also, there are a lot of personal trainers who have put some of their programs online so that they can keep up with their clients. So there's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. If you're not doing any, one session a week is better than none. Ideally, you want to get, that would be great, about 30 minutes. But again, a little more will do. So just get started. And you may find that once you have increased your activity, particularly doing some cardio, that you actually sleep better. So that can improve your sleep too. It really can. Any questions, comments?
No, I just want to thank you. I am a hard head sometimes, and my parents were workaholics, so it's natural, but I have everything in here. There is no excuse. I've always been self-quarantined anyway. I have an app glider. I have a Tony Gazelle glider. I have a lot of things to do. I just need to be told to do it. I teach my clients, so yeah. I've recently bought a mug set, a copper mug set off Amazon. I drink out of copper now. I know that has health benefits.
Yeah, so getting started is really the hardest thing about everything. It really, really is. And sometimes you just have to make that commitment to just, as Candy, open the whole conference with, is just, you got to sometimes you have to put yourself first. And as women, we have been socialized to put everybody else's needs before our own. But if indeed we are doing the whole program together, then we can't really be at the bottom of the totem pole, because when we're at our best, everybody benefits. So it's just really a different mindset. It's a different way of just kind of looking at your purpose and your value. And, just kind of keeping with the whole COVID thing, or theme, that certainly there are a lot of negatives come with COVID, lots and lots and lots of negatives, but there are also some very, very important positives. And I would say one of the most important ones is that for some people, they have been, they've had an opportunity to be home. Now, I'll just tell you, as a physician, I have not been home. I have had to go to the office every day and see patients, even if it was a televisit, by computer. I still had to go in. But for the people who were allowed to, or had the opportunity to be at home, some people got that house cleaned, those closets, and they did deep cleaning. And so, a clean house is a happy house. So that's good. Some people have their children at home. Now, I'm sure some people would say that's a wonderful thing, and others would say, oh my God, no. But it gave or is giving families a chance to really reacquaint, get to know what's going on in the minds of your teenagers and your children, and get to connect with them about their hopes and their dreams and their fears and all of that. So there have been some real opportunities for family connections to be made. And of course, is that in those homes where there was abuse going on, that's has not been a positive along those lines. But there have definitely been some opportunities. People who just had so much time on their hands. I've had patients come into the office and say, "Oh my God, I'm just so bored. I don't know what to do with myself." I said, "Well, what would you be doing if, if you could get out?" "Oh, I would travel." I said, "Well, plan your vacation then." I mean, you can plan it down to pretty detail. So there's so much. If you wanted to learn a new language, you have time to do it. If you wanted to learn how to do flower arranging or whatever it is, everything is on the internet. So you can learn how to do everything. I bought a violin, and if I was at home, I would be working on my violin. So, but I would encourage people to really use the time that you have, do some things that you wouldn't ordinarily have time to do. And really, I would say that this is not just with COVID, but in all things, you want to try to find, well, what positive can I get out of this situation? And that kind of leads me to the last thing, and that is keeping your stress level down. So the question, what do you do for stress control? So
I go for rides, literally, and I don't care if it's going through the neighborhood.
yeah.
Just go for a ride.
And I think that that's one of the things during this pandemic that people are able to do when they can't do anything else, when they're too afraid to do anything else. I see Vanessa says that she does meditation and deep breathing. That's a great one. We're going to get back to that in just a couple minutes. So, yeah, so keeping your stress, I'm sorry. So keeping your stress level down, you can, again, keep some of the positives in mind about, what's going on with the coronavirus. Some people, unfortunately, have sort of maladaptive kind of ways of dealing with stress. So some people smoke, some people drink, some people, have violent tendencies. I mean, there can be a lot of negatives in terms of stress, and that stressful situations will bring that out in, in individuals. So I would say that there are some opportunities and some things that you might not think about just in terms of stress control. We talked a little bit about exercise, and I would say can do is just kind of start creating a routine for yourself. So some people who are kind of at the top of their game have a routine. And the ones who have added self-care as a part of that will do something like this. So they may get up a little bit earlier in the morning, and they may have a 20-20-20 rule. So for 20 minutes, they get up and then for the next 20 minutes, they meditate. And then for the next 20 minutes, they kind of look at their schedules and get their thoughts and their intentions together for the day. And some people will add, reading their word in the morning. Now, the thing that you did not hear me say was to look at your phone and answer your emails. So when you are able to sort of prioritize and set your intention for the day, then that will help you kind of stay focused and not allow the stressors to get a hold of you so easily. And along the lines of meditation, there's so much that's available now. Meditation was not part of the mainstream of recommendations for forever, although we know that people have used meditation for hundreds of years. I would say just over the past, maybe 5 or 6 years, has there been a recommendation to encourage patients to meditate. And I will say that particularly since the pandemic has hit, I've really been trying to direct people to include meditation when they are so anxious about all that's going on. Sometimes, they're about everything in general. And I'll say this, if you're having anxiety issues, you probably need to stop watching the news feed on CNN all day long. That should not be one of your activities that you do all day. But just really kind of focusing on some, excuse me, on some positive thoughts and meditation vehicles that are now available. So there's everything from what we call mindfulness, and that's basically just having you use your senses to pay attention to what's in front of you. So you might do something as simple as sit in a chair, close your eyes, and pay attention to what you're hearing around you. And then you may switch that to paying attention to what you're feeling. Feel the chair, that you're sitting on, or the coolness in the room, those kind of things. You might then focus on what you're seeing. And, you have your eyes closed, but sometimes you can still see, the coming or the light coming in. And focused on that. And then you can focus on what you're tasting in your mouth. So that kind of forces you to block out everything else and really focus on what's happening right there in front of you. So doing those kind of exercises can help sort of derail an episode of anxiety. But something else that I think it can be helpful is breathing. And I'm going to teach you that you can use. Just sometimes you get a phone call or something happens at work that kind of sets you off, and then you can just take a moment and do a couple of rounds of this breathing technique, and it may help you kind of calm down. So it's called box breathing. And what you would do, you would sit comfortably, close your eyes, and you can try this while I'm talking you through. And you breathe in. So you're going to take 4 counts to breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it for 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you're going to exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold it at the bottom for 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's do that again. Breathe in for 4, 3, 2, hold it for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the bottom for 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So that's a technique that you can use. There's something about that disconnection of the breathing in and breathing out that kind of settles you down. A couple of rounds of that, and that should help. Another thing that you can do is just, well, let me just say this first. Again, so much stuff that's on YouTube and the internet as far as meditation goes. There's what's called guided meditations. With guided meditations, there's someone in the background just talking you through. They talk you through imagery. They talk you through the breathing, are very short. Some of them can go on for hours. So that's one type. There's another type where there's no guidance. It's just music, and you can just sit and listen to that soothing music. Close your eyes and just take a couple of deep breaths and just kind of block out everything around you. Now, there are people who say that I can't meditate because I brain off. Well, your brain is not going to do that. So that's not the goal. The goal actually also is not to be a good meditator. That's not the goal either. The goal is to just create some peace so that you, when you have to, deal with more challenging issues and situations, that you can do so a little more efficiently. I will tell you, I started meditating, it's probably been almost 2 years now. And, regular basis, you think that when you start meditating, something is like miraculous is going to happen to you. And all of a sudden, you're this enlightened person. And it really doesn't happen that way. What I noticed is the things that used to really upset me all of a sudden just doesn't anymore. It just doesn't. And it doesn't numb you out or anything, but it's just pretty, it's pretty wonderful actually for me during this pandemic, where you can imagine some of the pressures of what I'm seeing in the office and that kind of thing. I'm able to deal with that without as much.
Voice message system 7.
Uh-oh, sorry about that. I don't know where that came from. Anyway, yeah, so I'm able to deal with some of the risk. I've been dealing with my patients who have had COVID with a lot less anxiety because of the practice of meditation. So I would highly recommend that people kind of delve into that if that's not something that you've done, and whatever type of meditation you kind of decide to jump into. I would say though that for people who have never meditated before, the guided meditations are probably the easiest ones to do, and that's that way you're through. So I gave you the breathing technique. There is sort of a guided meditation that I can do with you pretty quickly. And this will kind of get you started. So again, everyone just kind of close your eyes, take a nice deep breath and blow it out. And what you want to do is just tighten everything, tighten your face, your arms, your legs, and just relax. We're going to do that again. Tighten up everything, arms, legs, face, fist, feet, everything, and then relax. Now, I want you to just keep taking some nice, slow, deep breaths. And I want you to think about 3 things that you're grateful for. 3 things that you're grateful for. And it could be everything from, if things are really, really hard in your life right now, it might be, I woke up this morning and I have I'm in a safe place. I have a roof over my head. I'm not hungry. I have another chance to connect with my friends and family. Sometimes it's hard that you're grateful for, but if you can start off your day with just a few minutes of gratitude, it can make a huge, huge difference. I will also say that Keep that in mind as you go through the day. And if you also, if you also end your day this way, that will kind of lead you into some nice sleep as well. So if you begin your day with a little gratitude and a little deep breathing and a little quiet and end your day with that, that's helpful. Now, there's one more thing that I wanted to do, and I just want to leave this with you in terms of the importance of your words. Words are so unbelievably powerful. There's a little video that I just need you to see this, because we throw them around, and the impact of that is so much more than you would ever believe. So you want to be careful about the way you talk to yourself, because that self-talk is so more impactful than anything that anybody can say to you. So Tammy, do you have the video? Okay.
Let there be light.
And there was light.
This is just a...
I want to remind y'all of the power of the mind. You can think yourself into a depression. You can think your way into stress. You can think your way into misery, frustration. There's so much more power in the mind than you probably like to give yourself credit for. Change your mind. Decide that you love yourself enough to not surround yourself with people, things, and situations that can have your mind continuing to spiral down this negative and dysfunctional train.
Once I feed you with an idea that you are susceptible to something, look, I can feed you with an idea that this pill that we just got from the pharmaceutical company, it's the greatest, best thing for your issue. And I give you this pill and you get better. And then later you find out it was a sugar pill, and everybody goes, yeah, that's called the placebo effect. And I go, what does it really mean? I said, you didn't get healed by the pill, you got healed by the belief in the pill. And I go, well, yeah, that's what placebo is all about. And at least 1/3, minimum of 1/3 of all medical intervention is, it's a placebo effect where the healing comes from. And everybody goes, yeah, I know about the placebo. I go, yeah, but that's a result of positive thinking. What about negative thinking? And this is what we don't talk about, but the reality is it's equally powerful in regard to affecting your biology as is positive thinking, but it works in the opposite direction. A negative thought is called the nocebo effect. Can cause any disease, and you can die. If you believe you're gonna die, you can die from the belief. So we really have to watch out, because as psychologists would tell us, 70% or more of our thoughts are negative and redundant, replaying the same negative thoughts. I go, if thoughts had nothing to do with it, fine. But thoughts, positive or negative, shape our biology. And all of a sudden it says, well, now it's time to wake up, because our negative thinking is manifesting a negative life experience.
Words are extremely powerful. You actually create your own laws and limitations for yourself, using the words that you use most often. The greatest teacher to ever live, the carpenter from the plains of Galilee, once said, by your words you are justified, and by your words you are condemned. He understood the spiritual properties.
Tammy, can you advance to the timestamp 10:37? I don't know if she can hear me. Okay, hopefully she can get that. I just wanted you to see this. Basically, what happens in that part of the video is that there was an experiment done.
And covered it with water. And
Oh, okay, here we go.
after a month, he said, "Thank you," to one beaker. "You're an idiot," to the second. And the third one, he completely ignored. After 1 month, the rice that had been thanked began to ferment, giving off a strong, pleasant aroma. The rice in the second beaker turned black. And the rice that was ignored began to rot.
Front is that we're going to say good, beautiful, positive things to the good apple and bad, nasty things to the bad apple. So I just took out my apples from the bad apple jar and the good apple jar. And as you can see, this is amazing. Even for the most skeptical ones out there, you have to admit that this is, and I have to admit, I was one of those that was a little skeptical, and I am in awe at what I'm seeing right now.
Odds. Try using 25 containers or even 50 containers.